We live in the era of the safe remake. Over the last few years, we've watched Sony spend hundreds of millions of dollars polishing games that were already shining. We got a ground-up remake of The Last of Us, a game that already looked and played perfectly. We've seen remasters for titles that nobody was exactly begging for, all while Sony's remake machine stays in high gear. Sony clearly loves the remake. It's low risk and it's a guaranteed win on a spreadsheet. So why is it that the one game that actually needs it, the one game that defines an entire generation of PlayStation, is the only one they refuse to touch? Bloodborne isn't just a fan favorite, it's widely considered the greatest game of its decade. But as we sit here in 2026, it remains a ghost. It's a 30 frames per second relic trapped on aging hardware, and the reason it's still there isn't because Sony doesn't want your money. It's because they've allowed a single creator to gatekeep a masterpiece. On March 2nd, Sony officially closed the doors on Bluepoint Games.
But you can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed?
For years, we looked at Bluepoint as the emergency glass we were waiting to break. They were the masters. They proved with Demon Souls that they could take a FromSoftware nightmare and translate it into 4K without losing its soul. But the news of their closure came with a bitter revelation. According to reports from Bloomberg, Bluepoint didn't just want to remake Bloodborne, they pitched it. They had the roadmap, they had the technical data. Sony was reportedly ready to greenlight it. But the pitch was blocked. Not by Sony executives in a boardroom, but by FromSoftware. It's been an open secret for a while now. Hidetaka Miyazaki is protective of Bloodborne to a fault. And because he is too busy building new worlds like the Dustbloods, he has essentially put Bloodborne in a vault. He doesn't want anyone else to touch it. There is a fine line between protecting your art and holding it hostage. We respect Miyazaki, we love his vision, but at what point does artistic integrity become a disservice to the work itself? Bloodborne is a masterpiece, yes, but it's one that suffers from its own technical limitations. The chromatic aberration, the frame pacing, these aren't artistic choices, they are the scars of 2015 hardware. When Sony remakes The Last of Us, they claim it's to bring the game up to modern standards. Yet Bloodborne, a game that actually struggles to run on modern displays, is left to rot. By refusing the Bluepoint Pitch, FromSoftware didn't protect Bloodborne, they just ensured that fewer people will ever experience it. They've turned a living masterpiece into a museum piece that's falling apart behind the glass. While the official gatekeeper stays silent, the community has refused to let the fire go out. In the absence of a remake, the fans have become the developers. We've seen modders fix the frame pacing, coders building emulators from the ground up, and lore hunters keeping the streets of Yharnam crowded 11 years later. This is the irony of Bloodborne in 2026. The people who own it treat it like a liability or a precious antique too fragile to handle. But the people who play it treat it like a living, breathing world. Every time a fan-made patch is shut down or an emulator project is threatened, it sends a clear message. Sony and FromSoftware are more interested in protecting the stasis of this game than its future. They are betting that our loyalty will last forever, even if they never give us a reason to stay. For over a decade, the gates of Yharnam have remained closed to the modern world. We've watched as other legends were rebuilt, while this one remains shrouded in the fog of 2015. Is there hope? Despite the studio closures and the corporate silence, I think there is. In an industry this unpredictable, never is rarely a permanent word. Perhaps one day the stars will align, the egos will soften, and Sony will finally give this masterpiece the 60 frame per second heartbeat it deserves. But until then, the flame hasn't flickered. The remake might be a ghost, the PC port might be a myth, but for those of us who still hear the bell tolling in the distance, the wait isn't a burden, it's a vigil. Sony might refuse to touch the masterpiece, but they can't stop the hunt. Because as long as there are those willing to step into the dream, Yharnam will never truly fall. The night is long, but the hunters are still here. And in the next video, it's finally my turn to join them. I'm going back to where it all began,